Hello my friends, Mia DeBolt here, bringing you more transparency in trading. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's day 14 of the Funded Trader Challenge, and I was underwater yesterday at negative 0.46, so I only had a little bit to go. And today I did take a couple of trades, and so I wanted to review those with you and just share with you where I'm at in my account. Now, just a quick update with FTMO, I am putting that on the back burner, so it's not something that's forefront right now, so I will be starting that challenge here in a couple of weeks after NFP week. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the charts and see exactly what trades I took today. All right, so because the DXY has been on kind of a bearish retracement, I was looking at that this morning and I saw that when I woke up, it did bounce off of this daily open gap and it was headed down. So I was expecting the indices to kind of go up a little bit because they do have an inverse reaction. And so that's kind of what I was looking at. So just to be completely transparent, I am looking at this as kind of a slowdown of price. So I am not expecting too much of price and I'm looking to be nimble. So I was looking at the daily open gap and the opening range to be down a little bit. So I was expecting kind of a little retracement up, and there was a nice London bearishness. So some type of retracement was kind of anticipated. I do have my buy side set and my sell side. So I was kind of looking at what the narrative was going to be. And there was also 7 a.m. news. So there was a little retracement. The New York Stock Exchange opened here, and we did go up to the algorithm open and then start pushing down for the sell side. So I was watching the DXY as well as the E-mini, and what I noticed was that it started to retrace and it touched a daily open gap and then started to bounce up. So I paper traded because I was seeing kind of back and forth. What I was expecting was happening, which was it was kind of retracing, it was taking buy side, it was taking sell side. It wasn't quite a seek and destroy day like ICT likes to say, but it was very choppy. And so what I was expecting was the PM session to be a little bit more of a one-sided road. Okay, so I was looking at a sell here. However, this looked way too suspect for me. There's kind of like this channel that's going down as well as a trend line liquidity that I was kind of suspecting it was going to be taken. So that's exactly what happened. I was looking at overlapping candles and trying to analyze some of that. And of course, it did end up taking that trend line liquidity and kind of reacting from the daily open. So that's kind of where the PM session was more of my liking because we're already in the lunch hour, and so I was not looking to be a part of any kind of retracements or any kind of consolidation. Okay, so I was looking at the PM session. I came back after a walk and I saw that it was breaking down, starting to head for sell side again. It was starting to push down. So again, I'm paper trading, but in this retracement, I was actually a part of this. So I'm looking at 50% of this last swing, and this is kind of where I enter. Okay, so this is where I enter. I'm already in profit with my paper trade, but once I'm actively trading, I don't actually pay much attention to my paper trading. And so this is where I'm measuring the 50%, and once it goes up to this 1 minute breaker, that's where I want to enter. So not only is it a 1 minute breaker, but it's also a 5 minute order block, and so I'm pretty confident that that will keep price down if it's going to continue bearish. All right, so just going to fast forward this to where it actually starts to retrace. Okay, so we do have this order block here. So I'm expecting that order block to hold as well as this old 15-minute fair value gap. And so that is somewhere where it's actually in this 1 hour old volume imbalance. And so I am looking at that to also hold price down. So if we're going to continue bearish, I do want it to dip under that and to use that as resistance. All right, so that's where I enter. Again, thank you 8cap for the great spreads. And I'm being facetious there. But I do enter and I have a very big stop loss. It's only a 0.5% risk on this stop loss that's like 10 pips. And so the reason I did that is because I only need 0.46%. And so if this goes to terminus like I wanted it to, it was going to absolutely take me back to break even and some profit. So that's kind of what I was looking at. I was looking to be very conservative today. And so I'm also looking at the DXY. And so here's something that I want to point out to the DXY. I already went to the consequent encroachment of this daily open gap, this little pink shaded area, I have a daily open gap that is historical. And so that I like to measure and make sure that that is something that it's going to continue through. And so I was expecting the terminus to be up here. And so that would correlate with the low of the day for this. And so the E-mini had already dipped into the daily open gap down here. We had a daily open gap and it went in about 25% and then reacted from there. And so I was looking for that to be attacked, but this is not the type of price action that looks like it's going to attack. And so I was being a little bit cautious and just watching this price action because, again, this does look a lot more like a flag than it does a one-way street. Okay, so I'm in this, and it is something that if I did measure the 50% of the last swing, it still would keep me in even if it wanted to go back up and take some of these short-term highs. So I'm okay with that. And this is where I'm entering some alerts so that I know exactly where price is going. I don't have to babysit it. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward this because it does take a while. It's over a 30-minute trade. And so it does start moving in my favor, and that's great. It's only a little bit of profit because I am only in this for 0.5%. Okay, so here's where there's a little bit of trouble because there's a 1 minute fair value gap and it's starting to retrace. Another thing that I noticed is that the DXY no longer pushed up. So it hit the top of the daily open gap and then reacted down. And so when the DXY is going down, usually the S&P and all the other assets are going up. And so that's kind of a warning sign to me that I should be getting out of this trade because it's probably not going to my terminus. So that's one of the reasons that I closed this trade. And I was looking at that. I pulled it over so that you could see exactly what I was looking at. And then I ended up closing this when it started turning around. So they were both going down. It just is SMT or smart money technique or whatever ICT wants to call it. It's divergence amongst the DXY and the other assets. And so again, it did push up, and so I ended up closing it. Okay, so that brought me to 0.15% profit for the day, and so I was currently at negative 0.29%. So I still had a little ways to go, and I kept watching the DXY drop, and it did continue to drop. The other assets continued to push up, and so this is where at the end of the day I ended up taking one more trade. Okay, so my second trade of the day actually happened right before the top of the hour, so right before 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is my time, and it's pretty much the end of the trading hours. So this is kind of where I lost track of time and kind of lost my bearings. So I was so into price action and watching it respect order blocks that I was not really watching what time it was and if it was actually a really good time to enter a trade. So unfortunately, I did have to endure this. It was only about 13 minutes and it did retrace. It did end up going in my favor, and I ended up closing it out just at break even because it was not something that I wanted to hold on to for the long haul. I don't want to hold overnight trades because of the world situation and how sketchy it is. So the 15-minute order block holds and this continues to retrace up. So it does end up going in my direction and I do end up closing it out. So I got just 0.01 out of that. So that was the trading that I did today. I got a little bit back from the losses that I took yesterday, and I was being conservative, watching price action, really studying it, and putting in some time tape reading, and I'm pretty happy with the end results. So today is my second to last day. Tomorrow I have one more day, and I'm sure that I'll find at least one trade to get back into profit. Okay, so here's my funded trader account, and you can see that I am at 0.28%. I really only have one more day and some change to actually make that back. So I'm really not too concerned with it. Again, I'm gonna have a very conservative trade tomorrow, and we'll just get back up to even ground zero. It will be waiting for me. And so here are the trades that I took today. The small little 0.15% and then the break-even trade that I bought at the very end of the day. So after the dust has settled with NFP, I will absolutely be back on the horse and starting the ground zero again. And so I look forward to that and sharing those trades with you. I know that passing phase one is kind of daunting for people, but having some repeats and having that ability to really be conservative and follow your trading plan is the best way to go for the long haul. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, subscribe below so that you can follow this journey as I go to the 7-figure mark of funding. And I look forward to bringing more videos like this to you. All right, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.